Bienvenidos, fans of the hottest entertainment on the planet. Jaimé En Fuego here, and it is a pleasure and honor to continue my coverage here at Fantasia International Film Festival 2026. Yes, y'all, this is the very prestigious milestone 30th anniversary of one of the, if not in contention for the most revered genre film festival on the planet. And yeah, guys, so I covered it for the first time last year, continuing with the virtual coverage. And so day 2 is wrapping up. Since I'm here doing it virtually in the deadly desert of Arizona, I can't be up in person in the Great White North for this. It takes place in Montreal, Québec, Canada. And yeah, this is actually running now through Sunday, August 2nd, so all dozens and dozens of features and shorts and all kinds of other radness, as I've been saying in every video. If you were there in person, soy envidioso. Damn, do I wish I could be there. But just the opportunity to check out films like the one that I have now watched twice, because yeah, when you get a screener, you have that like limited amount of time with it and everything like that. Although this was a YouTube link, but you know, private and everything, what have you. But guys, I just watched Dance Freak. Holy shit. This is one of the funniest things that I've not just seen this year, but in recent memory. But that's not to say that it will be for everybody. So this is coming at us. I just want to make sure I get the two dudes' names correct. So this is coming at us from a tandem of filmmakers, actually. So we have Alan Resnick, and then we have Robbie Ratcliffe. And Robbie actually also wrote the script for this one. And so it premiered today at Fantasia. It is going to be screening for a second time at 1:40 p.m. Eastern Time, because that's when the times are going down over there, or 13:40 military time, because on the Fantasia website they love doing the military time. But yeah, on Wednesday, July 22nd. So there is an encore screening. You have the opportunity if you happen upon this review. And the reason I say it's not for everybody is because my lady saw a little bit of this with me when I was watching it for the second time, because it was late last night and I was laughing my ass off after getting the screener from the press team at Fantasia, who handles some of the virtual screenings if you're not outsourcing to a third party of PR peeps and everything. And I was trying to keep it down because I was laughing so hard. I showed some of it to her, and she's just like, "Oh my god, it's annoying." And that's the thing. These two guys, or at least Alan specifically, has a deep history with Adult Swim. But this is most definitely of like the darkest corners of Adult Swim content and whatnot, because it's live action, it's black and white, and it is it's funny to me because of the outlandish seriousness and earnesty with which everything is presented in this. So once again, black and white. I get it's not, Eraserhead, but just based on the dilapidation and the industrial industrial and stuff in the background, billows of smoke and all this stuff. I get kind of that vibe a little bit if we're gonna reach into that sort of inspiration and everything. But with the outlandish absurdity by way of Adult Swim and some of their live action content, obviously, to maybe some of the darker Tim and Eric segments, for instance, or whatever. But yeah, guys, this was absolutely hilarious. The setup is you have this guy Obi, and with just the serious, just silliness almost of the very beginning of the film. So we see like an interspersion of him on the beach with his girlfriend Dorothy, who he's kind of on the rocks with at the beginning of the film. She's trying to make a run for office in this unnamed city. And it cuts to him like making these birdhouses. He's taken up a hobby, and he's talking with his instructor about how, yeah, there were these birds, and they used to land on my window, and then they stopped coming. And so I thought that maybe if I built the right house, and he's got this hilarious bit of dialogue, with his teacher, who's like, well, you got into the right house. Sometimes the birds won't fit. It's absurd, but once again, it is played so straight throughout that is what makes it so goddamn funny, man. And so even as he is marching in his like super messy like sweatshirt kind of thing with like stains and shit on it, he's trying to get to this lunch date with Doherty, and he is harassed in the most absurd fashions. First there is this crazy couple who's trying to get him to go do some bangarang with the girl, and he's like, hey, are you into sex? You like sex? That sort of thing. Just the uncomfortability throughout. And then there's these, like, I think they're called the Salad Boys, or like this trio of neighborhood bullies, one of which is a girl. But from a filmmaking standpoint, it's not just the absurdity of some of the dialogue and the scenarios and the setups and everything. It is also just the way they veer into psychedelia at times, and I'll get a little bit more into that once I approach like the hook that makes this more genre as opposed to just like dark comedy sort of thing. And there is an excessive amount of slowdown, not just with the film, but with like sort of thing. And it's played to absolute precision as far as comedic effect. Like people that early on, this girl with this bag of greens, are you nutrient deficient or whatever? And she's spinning around, and then she's like screeching. And if you watched enough live action Adult Swim sort of craziness, you know exactly what I'm referring to here. It's fucking delightful, man. And but as the narrative progresses, it does veer into what I guess could be considered horror to a degree. Although I would say this is much more of the darkly comedic sort of variety. But yeah, because of the fact that as he's finishing up his little meal with Doherty, who's being like, yo, we can still be friends, and so you obviously know where this is going, and she's like, I need to focus on the campaign and everything, and she's going around with like this club, this like stick or whatever, and it's a hilariously absurd little angle there. But they see this like, crazy dancer guy in the distance outside of the diner, and I'm speaking verbatim, but Doherty's like, he's inviting you, or he's calling you. She uses some sort of phrase. And so Obi goes out there, and then we flash forward to where a bunch of time has gone by, and he doesn't know like where this whole friggin' week has actually gone. He's being harassed by his boss, Stavros, the comedian, man, who we just saw in Begonia. He's hilarious in this, man. He's not playing it straight like in Begonia, dude, where, he was... where he was the policeman who had the weird stuff going on with Kirsten Dunst's husband, his name is eluding me right now. But in any event, guys, Stavros is such a piece of shit in this as his boss, and his nickname is Mega Man. And when he's like hitting on this woman in the office, or he has a very amusing interplay with her where he's telling her this like dead serious story about how nobody would clean in his house. And so all he wanted was this nice, big, clean glass of tap water. And he's like just drooling almost, like just at the sheer thought. And once again, it's so funny because it's played so straight. But that's also the thing. As I said, my lady was just like, this is dumb. So it's a very, I don't want to say a refined taste, but it's a very like specific sort of taste in comedy for those who will really get as much out of this as I did. And then, he starts crushing up pills and going to town, and she's singing like some weird variation of a birthday song to him. But yeah, so the weird dance freak guy, we get some more context about him, the one that Obi had interacted with, because of the fact that a scientist shows up who had this really hilarious name. I'm just going to consult my notes real quick. Dilly Gorgle. Once again, with just... As I was recanting the names of the characters in this to my lady, and she was just like, Dilly Gorgle and Obi and Doherty. She's like, who the hell comes up with these sort of names, man? Just, once again, just, sheer silly, and for me, it worked perfectly. So this scientist gives some additional context about this person who was going around and murdering this dance freak. And so that's about as far as I want to go without getting into any spoilery details about how them trying to track down this character, get some answers about the nature of it and all of that different stuff. But goddamn, so funny. And the score as well, because of the fact that there are a few different songs that pop up in this. One is like almost this like loungy, like almost upright bass, sort of like very chill, sort of that kind of the tempo raises up a little bit. But then there's a couple other sequences where this like up tempo, like like club house sort of stuff comes on, and so that fits the scenario of like urgency and whatever at times too. So I mean, for low budget filmmaking, the creativity, the just sheer lunacy of the writing, and how much it really, really worked for me, how much I adored it. Even like when some of the kills are going down, it's very creative what this character, what this dance freak does. I don't want to spoil it or anything, because it's done. There's a couple inversions of the killing capabilities of this of this experimental character almost. And yeah, guys, this was a goddamn delight. I was so amused by it. I might even throw on a few additional scenes because there is some stuff with these cops that is just golden funny. Like the heavier said black cop, he comes into this hospital at one particular point. The nurse asks him, like, "You a cop?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "You ever killed anybody?" It's like, "No." And he's like, "Ah, too bad." It just was such a straight face, and just, I don't know. It's not going to be for everybody, but for me, as you guys can tell, I'm even just thinking about some of these scenes. There's another running joke discussing Doherty's car. It's just gold, man. So, all right, I've gushed about this enough. I've balls resting on my chin and all that different stuff. But guys, that is my thoughts out of Fantasia 2026 on Dance Freak. Once again, you have the opportunity, if you are in person, to check this out. There's another opportunity. It is once again at 1:40 p.m. local time over there in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. And that is on this upcoming Wednesday, July 22nd. So if you were there in person and you don't have a slot already picked out, or if you do, maybe reconsider, because Dance Freak was a damn delight, as I already said, and now I'm getting redundant. So I'm probably, after this review, going to go scope out a few more of the scenes of this film. So I extend the grande gracias, everybody. I've been Jaimé En Fuego. You can find me on all social media sectors like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I do a little bit on the Tiki-Talkies, but I just set that shizzle up recently, and so it's really just short reviews of bigger name stuff out of the theater. But boy, I hope that this either finds some sort of distribution, is able to migrate onto a streaming service, because I mean, I'm thinking of an old roommate of mine who I used to watch this sort of just outrageously serious silliness that I just love. Jacoby, shout out to you, man. And just a whole contingent of friends that are into this very alt comedy sort of stuff. I think it's I think Alan is part of a group called Wham City Comedy Troupe, if I remember correctly, and stuff. And so, I mean, coming from a pedigree of comedy and absurdity and all these different things, and man, Robbie's script was just primo. The actors sold it with every bit of earnesty that they needed to really get the comedy across. So once again, Fantasia. The festival is running until August 2nd. So if you are in the area, you're thinking about trying to make your way over, get some tickets, check out some screenings. There is dozens upon dozens of things. I've got all of the information down in the description box below. FantasiaFestival.com/EN- well, you guys know all that different stuff. So I'm going to stop the babbling. I have been Fuego. Y'all have been Rad Status. And until the real of Ka comes around once more, hasta luego, sin amigos. Constant viewers, say thank you. I hope that we have been well met and that we share more of this cinema palava sooner rather than later. So until then, adios, and keep your eyes out for Dance Freak.